This is another episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. We have a fun short interview coming up for you. This guy is one of my oldest friends in the business. He was part of a comedy team called Mack Jamie. And I got to tell you, I saw a lot of comedy for several decades, and these guys were definitely the best comedy team out there. They had a lot of success on stage, TV, hundreds of TV appearances, and they had their own show called Comedy Break. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the show, Mack Dryden.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, thank you, everyone, for that standing ovation. That's amazing.
It's amazing. All 12 people jumped to their feet. Hey,
well,
Mack.
I appreciate it.
We haven't chatted in a while, and I wanted to catch up and kind of let the audience catch up with what you're doing. To give a little foundation, I know that you got your start as a professional writer, and I didn't know in your semi-retired state if you're doing any writing these days.
Well, I am. One thing that I have had some success in, I'm a speaker as well, a motivational speaker, and so
I was going to get to that, but you had some early success as a newspaper writer, and which connected you with our friend Jamie Alcroft, and I know that you continued to write, but I didn't know if it was something that you were still doing semi-professionally, or just keep a diary we want to look for.
No. It's the only serious thing I'm doing professionally right now is I'm doing punch-ups for other speakers who might have a great message, but not many laughs in it,
Well, and I'm one of those. You helped me turn my little speech into something a little more congealed and funny. So you're doing that so writing still is kind of a basic talent that you developed and still lean on occasionally. I
do. It's something that I can't stop doing. I spend too much time writing to my friends when I get an email because I got to do it right, And so I really get into it, try to get a laugh out of them and all that. But professionally speaking, yeah, I mean, I write. I've got a thing I'm going to do. I'm going to Ohio on Thursday for a Friday event, and going to be doing some special. I still write special material for every client. I ask them some questions, and also got some. I'll look around the town wherever I am, and just write what we call special material or custom material for them. That's always fun. Of course, I wrote. You didn't mention, but I did write for Bill Maher on Politically Incorrect, and I got accustomed to. I worked that muscle pretty hard doing topical stuff. We would get the headlines from New York early in the morning and turn them into jokes by that afternoon. And so that has translated into what I do now, in that I can look and keep my antenna up and see what I can make a joke out of, and that's always fun to me.
Well, it's a challenge, and as you said, it helps you keep those skills up. And you mentioned that you personalize your comedy and your public speaking. Before we get into comedy, as a professional public speaker, which is something that you really leaned into hard and do really well with, obviously writing material around the particular corporation or its location really helps you connect with the audience, correct?
Oh, man, it just makes all the difference in the world, because as soon as you get up and do something that is obviously just for them, because I've got the names right, I've got the product right, I've got all that stuff, because I've done my homework, then, oh boy, they relax immediately and say, this guy's a pro. I'm going to just sit back and enjoy and not judge him from the start. He's on our team. And that works great. should have. I didn't know we were going in this direction, Scott. Or I would have had some of my stuff.
But I think it's important to realize that as a stand-up comic, but even more so as a public speaker, that it's all about connecting with the audience. And as you said, when you do your homework and do a little research and write some custom material, whether it's a comedy set or a public speaking engagement, connecting to the audience, it's what's really key. Now, I know a lot of public speakers are, pushing sales or motivational, or there's a specific topic. I've seen you speak and I have an idea, but could you share with the audience what type of topic or what you bring to a corporation when you go and you do one of your public speaking engagements?
Well, the title of my most popular keynote is Laugh to the Top, a hilarious guide to achieving your goals. And I came up with that because when I started working on what I was going to do as a speaker, I thought, well, what am I an expert at? Not much of anything. However, I have achieved some pretty, amazing goals. I grew up
in
a
lot of success, Mack.
Well, for example, I grew up in a little paper mill town in Moss Point, Mississippi that nobody's ever heard of. And I went on to appear on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and Jay Leno. And Jamie and I had our own show, Comedy Break, with Mack and Jamie. There I am right there in the title. So, I've accomplished a lot. Before I got into show business, I was heavily into Taekwondo, and I earned a black belt, and I competed all over the South and won a lot of stuff. And that was something else. I won some, you were talking about my journalism career. I won some Associated Press awards for my writing. So I put all that together, plus things that I had nothing to do with, like surviving an ugly stay in an African prison for a little while that you know about.
Yeah.
And,
by the way, that's an amazing book. Let's give it a plug. I know it's still available. The title of the book is
Fluffing the Concrete.
Fluffing the Concrete, which is a great way to say you're inside a prison cell.
Right. And what I found out that concrete didn't get any softer, no matter what you did. We just slept on concrete. But making the most of foreign prison or anything else is the subtitle. It was in Morocco, and if anybody's interested, they could go to my website, mackdryden.com, and go to shopping or whatever it says, products.
So pretty easy, folks, and I've read the book. It's an interesting story, mackdryden.com. Be sure to check it out. But getting back to the public speaking, I think sharing your talents as an achiever, as a motivated person that has set goals and was able to achieve that, but more importantly, using your foundation of stand-up comedy to bring humor to those public speaking engagements, again, not only engages the audience, but shares an important message. Congratulations on that. Thank you.
Yeah. I try to, I tell them when we start the session, it's usually about an hour, that, and I think I've heard you use the phrase laugh therapy before. And as you know, it's very true. Laughter is therapeutic in so many ways. And so I try to make it as funny as possible while I am giving them my 7-step, formula for achieving goals, starting with controlling your fears and stresses and all the way through to taking an objective look at what the world is telling you, what's working and what isn't. And anyway, and I've got, I wish I'd known we were going here. I would have this stuff in front of me. But,
no, Mack, no pressure. This is just, you have so many talents, and you've helped me with things. You've helped other people. Like you said, you ghostwrite for other public speakers. I wanted to touch on each of your entertainment and educational values that you bring to the world. And the next I wanted to ask about is, I know that for a while there, you were back on stage as an actor. and doing some work with a play locally. Have you been doing much stage work as an actor lately?
I have not. That was actually what you're referring to. I got a call from a buddy of mine, David Sheffield, who actually was the head writer on Saturday Night Live for 2 or 3 years. He's from Biloxi, Mississippi, amazingly. Grew up 25 miles from where I did, down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And we hooked up out in L.A., and we had so much in common, and we were really good friends and saw each other now and again. And but I got a call out of nowhere a couple of years ago, and he said, I've written a play, and it's going to debut in Oxford, Mississippi, which is where it was set, because when he was a freshman in college at Ole Miss, at the same time I was a freshman in college at Ole Miss, amazingly, he was a desk clerk at a rundown hotel, and he wrote a play about it. And he asked me if I would play a role that he had written, Nubby, a kind of an semi-literate alcoholic house painter. So,
well, I've seen excerpts of some short videos of you on stage, a very funny play. And I know that with your stand-up comedy background and all your television, that moving to the stage in that form as an actor was probably a nice change, but also something you were comfortable with.
That's exactly right. I was there. I think I was the only one in the cast who had acted professionally, but there were some really good amateurs, and we put on a great play. But I got to improvise a lot, and I asked David early in the rehearsal process if he would be okay with me adding stuff or trying stuff if it would make it funnier. And he said, "Oh my God, please, please." So I had a big time and added quite a bit of stuff, a lot of physical stuff. You probably remember that seeing me on stage with Jamie, that I was the real physical one. And so I've always loved doing physical comedy and pratfalls and all that. One of the things I did in the play, my buddy, house painting buddy, he was a hothead, and he started a fight with a fella where we were, and I grabbed his belt, and he just basically dragged me around the stage while I was trying to stop him, but we were both kind of inebriated as a part in the play. And anyway, it turned out to be funny stuff.
Oh, I bet. I mean, just great that the director and writer of the play gave you that opportunity to ad lib, because you have a natural sense of humor. You have a physicality going back to your Taekwondo days and stuff. And bringing that additional humor to what was already basically a comedy play, and especially the physical aspect, really brightens the entertainment value for an audience. And I think that we should explain, on the TV show that you and Jamie had called Comedy Break, which you can still find snippets of on YouTube, it was a series of skits. So yeah. Even though you were never been, quote unquote, a serious actor in a theatrical sense, in a stage sense, all those skits, you're acting. So you were taking those writing skills, those language skills, those physical skills, and the foundation of comedy, and you were able to take the experience from Comedy Break and bring it to this play. How long did that run?
Oh, it was a very short run. It was like a long weekend. We did about 6 shows, I think, and had a packed audience every night, because we had, I don't know, we had about 200 in there, something like that. But the word got out, and after the first night, and we killed, and people, flocked to it. And I think they turned people away the last couple of shows because we were packed. That's so much fun to have a packed audience for a comedy,
Oh, definitely.
As you well know from your comedy club days, it's sad when there are 8 people in the audience, but when it's packed, you really rock the place, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the audience creates an energy that adds to the moment and makes it go even farther. Now, you had that short weekend run. Did the author of the play take it on the road or do anything else with it?
I think it has appeared in a couple of other places. I haven't been in touch with David, so I don't know the latest. I don't know if it was a one-off or a two-off or what, or if he's still going strong. His objective was to hopefully get it to, some big theaters across the country, and I don't know where that stands right now. I should ask him. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, the important part was that it gave you an opportunity to stretch your entertainment talents and do the stage work that you obviously had a lot of fun preparing for, rehearsing for, and then performing with. And I just think that's one more feather in your cap, as they say, that you've accomplished something that may or may not have been on your bucket list, but you did it in grand Mack Dryden style. Now, you and I are both getting up in years, and we've had a long history in comedy, and a lot of our peers have retired, but you're still working. You and Jamie have separated entertainment-wise. I know you're still good friends, but you don't work together as a comedy team anymore, but you've gone out solo, correct?
Yes. Yeah. When I got to Louisville about 12 years ago, I got a great opportunity. There's a fellow, rest his soul, Tom Sobel. We lost him a few months ago, but he was a real comedy powerhouse here. He had a club called the Comedy Caravan, and in Louisville, where that just about any comedian you could name, just like at Laughs Unlimited, just about anybody you could name came through there back in the day. And he was still booking shows around, just one night shows and once a month shows or whatever it might be. And I asked him, we were friends, and I asked him if he would give me 10 minutes here and 15 there. And he set me up, and in 6 months, with my background, of course, writing and performing, I had a pretty darn strong headliner set. And now, after I've been doing solo now steadily for 6 or 8 years now, yeah, I've got a hot show. In fact, I just recorded my first quote unquote special on dry bar comedy out in Provo, Utah, which comedy fanatics might know about. It's on YouTube. They have a wonderful studio set up with a live audience, and lively audience, I must say, and they do a great job producing clean comedians. And so I had been trying to get on it for a while, and finally got asked, and I went and did a great set. It sounded good. It's going to be a month before I think it's released, but it was quite a setup. There was 6 cameras going. That'll give you an idea. 4 on me, 2 on the audience. They had one on a rail back there, so they could get a moving shot without a bump, and a very professional setup. And I just felt very honored to be a part of it, and can't wait to see what the final product will be when I get the link to my special meaning, in this case, about a 4-minute set. But it felt great. It felt really good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here. By the time this interview launches, it'll be available on Dry Bar Comedy. Let's hear it for Mack Dryden.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
It is so cool that you've basically recreated yourself from being very successful for several decades as a part of a comedy team into a solo act, developing and for people in the industry, going from, hey, I'm going to get back on stage and doing 5 or 10 minutes, to putting together a full headliner set, which for the audience that may not know, that's at least 40 minutes, if not an hour of material. And then to get the opportunity to do a dry bar comedy special, that is just so exciting and must have been so much fun and rewarding for you, Mack.
It really was. And at this stage, as you say, we're getting a little older, and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, far from the centers of entertainment in LA.
Wait a minute. Louisville's not the hub of entertainment? I'm shocked.
You would think. But, I don't get actual network TV shots or anything like that. So this is about the best that I could aspire to, but it's a really good thing. I mean, I'm like I say, if you're listening to this and you're curious, just go on YouTube and look up Dry Bar Comedy, and you'll see that it is a very well produced thing. And you'll have your choice of watching 100 funny people. Anyway, so yes, I feel it's very fulfilling to have gotten to that kind of the pinnacle of what I can reach at this point, because I'm also ready to start slowing down a little bit, even though, let me tell you about a corporate I've got coming up that's kind of special. I got called out of nowhere. A fella found me. It's in Dexter, Missouri, which I had never heard of. Don't know if you have. Probably not, because there are only 10,000 people there. But they started a thing called the Ben Cruz 18 for Life Charity Foundation back in '07. And it's gotten to be such a big thing. They give grants to people whose families are going through a cancer journey of some kind. And from this tiny little town, they've given away almost $4 million doing this. So, yeah, it's a big deal. And people who play in the tournament, they're just, they'll have pros every once in a while just as an attraction, but it's mostly just wealthy folks, mostly, who enjoy that and like to give back to the community. And they come for a weekend, and they have a motivational speaker. And this fella, Scott Cruz, whose brother this is named after, he was accidentally killed early, unfortunately, and this is in memory of him. He said, we have coaches and former players and professional folks and mountain climbers and all that, but we've never had anybody really funny. And he said, then I saw your video, and I thought, man, I hope this guy's available. And so I'm going to do this. And here's the thing. This will give you an idea what a classy event this is. They are going to pick me up here in Louisville in a private jet and take me to Dexter, Missouri, and put me up in a nice place, of course. And I do the show and get to meet a lot of the folks, and they'll fly me back to Louisville, which for Gaffigan and Marr and Leno is no big deal. But again, that's another milestone, Scott. Hey, they're flying me in a private jet.
That is so cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, around Dexter, Missouri, get your tickets for the Ben Cruz Foundation fundraiser and see Mack Dryden doing his public speaking talk called Laugh to the Top. Man, that is such a great honor, Mack, and they are not going to be disappointed. I've seen your talk. They're going to be laughing and enjoying and learning something, which is always key to any public speaking event, is you want to share while entertaining, and you do that in a grand way. Man, that is so cool.
I'm going to wear them out, Scott. They're going to laugh so hard. Yeah, because when it's a celebration like that, and it's not everybody looking over their shoulder to see if the boss is laughing, but they're there just to have a big time. And it's going to be kind of a dream come true for me, because it'll be pretty much a perfect situation. About 500 people. They're all invited guests. So,
and you won't have.
Thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, you won't have any trouble writing material about a hub like Dexter, Missouri.
No, exactly. Yes, I've done the Tonight Show and been on the stage at Caesar's Palace, but I've always dreamed of being headlining at Dexter, Missouri. So,
well, that's going to be such a lucky audience to see you do your work. And I have to go back to the Dry Bar Comedy special. I think that you getting back on stage as a solo artist and hitting the boards, doing your material, it keeps you fresh as a writer, keeps you fresh as a performer. We're going to I don't have a private jet, but maybe we can get you out for one of the fundraisers I do out here. It is just so exciting. And any other, besides that gig, you going to keep with the stand-up for a while?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm pushing it hard. I'm hoping. I mean, for one thing, the Dry Bar.
That'll give you a boost.
Well, it should, or if nothing else, it'll give me a great video to say to a corporation who reaches out. Well, do you have any videos out there? Well, look at this, and it's going to be a very well produced with a great audience, set. And so I think that it can only help. I wasn't so excited about Dry Bar because of the money. I was for the promotional value, of course. And two, I must admit, for archival purposes. It's like, sure, people know that I was in Mack and Jamie for 34 years, by the way, Scott.
Woo,
can you believe it?
baby, 34 years. I don't know if I realized it was that long. And all that success, I'm not surprised. You were definitely my favorite comedy team, and you worked my club dozens of times. So successes you've had based on, I want to say, on your comedy and stand-up foundation, but it really started with the writing that led to everything. It's just incredible, Mack. It's incredible.
Yeah, I always thought of myself as a writer first. And it's funny, Scott, I just kind of came to this, I had a little epiphany just within the last few weeks. I was telling an old friend, we were having a Zoom call, catching up, and he was asking me about how I got started and all that. And I was living in Key West. That's where Jamie and I met. And I had the idea to write a satirical review, satirizing Key West, because my gosh, the jokes were just walking down the street. I mean, it was a goofy place with the hippies and the gays and the drug dealers and the Cubans and the tourists. And, it's just a wacky, fun little place. And so I wrote this thing, and I recruited Jamie because he was a stand-up in town at the time, and I needed some folks who had been on stage. And I remember the night, and I actually remember the sketch of our opening night, something I had written and I had directed. I was not in it, but the actors, Jamie might have been in it, I've forgotten. But when I was backstage and I heard my words on stage performed by people I had directed and got a roof-raising laugh, I mean a roar, I was hooked. That was the turning point, that very moment right there. It was like, oh my gosh, this is what I have been looking for 30 years, or my adult life. I was 30 at the time. And I'd been a newspaper reporter. I had been this and that, worked in a paper mill. Never found what exactly I wanted to do most until that moment. And then I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And thank goodness I've been able to make a career of it.
A tremendous
and thank
career.
goodness it's still going.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's so funny because we've had so many other comics in this podcast during interviews talk about when they were doing their first open mic or something and they got that first laugh, how exhilarating and addicting. And then it's been referenced a few times on the podcast. Your life becomes chasing that high, that feeling of sharing and making people laugh. You end up chasing it the rest of your life, and you have been so successful. So ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a chance or don't live near Dexter, Missouri, and can't see Mack doing Laugh to the Top, be sure to check out the Dry Bar comedy specials. And when it'll be out by the time this launches, and all you have to do is put in the search Mack Dryden, Dryden, and you will find one of the funniest stand-up comics ever. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, like I always enjoy doing, I have a little stand-up comedy by our guest, Mack Dryden, that I think you'll enjoy. It's very funny comedy material. So here it is.
I had to gloat a little bit when I saw news the other day. They're paying over $5 a gallon for gas in Los Angeles, and it kind of takes the sting out of filling up around here, doesn't it, a little bit? But I was filling up here the other day, and I made a discovery. I had never noticed they have warning labels on the gas pumps. Did you know that? Check it out. Next time you're there, it's right there. One of them says, gasoline may be harmful or fatal if swallowed. And I'm wondering if this is saving the lives of hundreds of brain-dead goofballs every year. Because if you pull up to a gas pump because you're thirsty, you shouldn't be operating a motor vehicle, for one thing. And you certainly shouldn't be reproducing. That should be off the table. There. But, you know, I'm not so sure that sign is good for society because it's interfering, you know, with the natural law of selection and all that. Because if you're stupid enough to suck gas out of a nozzle, well, you're doing humanity a favor by weeding out the underachievers. You know, kind of tidying up the gene pool a little bit. Maybe opening up some of those scholarship opportunities for more deserving candidates. Lord. As a relatively young man, I felt a lump in my body where it didn't belong, and I went to the doctor and I got the bad news, and he said, "Mr. Dryden, you have cancer." So I got my breath back, and I said, "Okay, what are we going to do about this?" And he said, "You're going to go into surgery. You're going to lose the testicle. You're going to undergo 17 weeks of radiation treatments, and you're going to pray to God that we." I said, "Whoa, hold on. Let's go back to step one. What was that? Lose what? Hold. I don't want to rush into anything here, Doc." Because you just get more personally attached to some organs than others. You know? And as guys, we generally don't like to break up the set. So... no, you just have more affection for something. Like I don't even know what my spleen feels like. You know, I have certainly never scratched it. That's for sure. But I knew about the healing power of laughter, and comedians, we get our endorphins and our cancer-killing agents going in our system by making other people laugh, and so I went for it. I got laughs from my doctor. Day before the operation, he asked me if I wanted him to implant a plastic prosthesis so I would look the same. I said, "Why, Doc? Don't you think my friends will recognize me?" I won't be posting a bunch of before and afters, okay? That won't be happening. I got laughs from my radiation mistress. You know, I'm lying buck naked on this glass slab. She's drawing these Navajo rug designs on my nether parts, aiming this thermonuclear device at me, telling me it's perfectly safe. And then, of course, she puts on a lead vest and goes into the fallout shelter. It's like 4 inches of glass over there. You know, so, "No danger at all, Mr. Dryden. You'll be fine. Perfectly safe." Lost a little credibility there, man. But anyway, she's turning dials, flipping switches. I'm feeling really weird. If you've had it, you know it's odd. And I'm yelling, "More power, Captain! The Grimulons are attacking the starboard pod. More power." She's laughing. I got a lot of laughs out of my caregivers. One day I had puked up about everything. The nurse came by, said, "How you doing, Mr. Dryden?" I said, "Well, about everything came up, but I found my class ring." Just hearing her laugh made me feel better than I had in days, I tell you. When this was going on, I was between wives, my practice wife and my final wife, and I had a roommate. And Big Jim just didn't get it. "How can you laugh about this, Dryden? This could kill you." I said, "Yeah, Jim, I know. That's why I'm getting as many laughs as possible, because I'm a comedian. I am not an oncologist. This is all I know how to do. And besides, I'm the luckiest guy on earth. If I'd gotten this 20 years ago, I would have had a funeral instead of a college graduation." They told me that, you know, it's going to sterilize me, but we've already had all the kids we care to, so I got the crop in before I lost the farm. But I am now married to my final wife. This is a commitment, folks. I'm in. I'm in. And people ask us, what's the secret to the long, strong relationship, And I have to give credit to Terry, because early in the relationship, she reminded me that men and women have really different needs, and we just have to support and respect that and be sensitive to that. For example, she taught me that she needs more calcium and iron and time in the bathroom and heart-to-heart communication and hand-holding and hand-wringing and hand lotion and ointments and unguents and emollients and cotton balls and lipstick and lip gloss and lip balm and lip liner and shoes for every imaginable occasion, and some I cannot even imagine, and phone time with her mother, and products to care for her hair and eyes and skin and lips and fingernails and toenails and cracked heels and exfoliation and feminine needs and constant assurance that her butt is exactly the right size. And she needs more candles and mirrors and picture frames, things made of gold, silk, and wicker, pillows of every conceivable shape and size, detailed information about the neighbors' personal lives, time to express her feelings, time to discuss why you have no feelings or the wrong feelings, time to correct your every imperfection and rehabilitate you. She needs an elegant little purse that carries a compact and a credit card, and an epic purse that carries Walgreens. She needs matching accessories, loofahs, potpourri, hundreds of tiny little bottles with mysterious stuff in them, dozens of pretty little boxes with nothing in them, and an occasional back rub that is limited strictly to the back. And that's all she needs.
Man, he is such a funny guy. I know you enjoyed that interview and a little bit of stand-up comedy, and here comes the end of the show. So thankful for our friendship and for you being back on the podcast. Mack, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Scott. Thanks for having me, and all the best to you, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with some more stand-up comedy. So stay listening. Tell a friend. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand-Up Comedy, Your Host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.